Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
Eventually, we moved to the plush rug in the living room. Sophia was the first to approach, flashing a provocative smile. She slowly climbed onto my lap, her warm hands wrapping around my neck. Her skin felt scorching, and that heat coursed through me, making my heart pound wildly. With the grace of a dancer, Sophia arched her body, creating a rhythm. Her nails lightly grazed my back, sending electric shivers through me, and her sweat-slicked body seemed to melt in my hands like lava. Frank. Her husky whisper seared my ear. I gripped her hips tightly, surrendering to her intense movements. Her body rocked faster, her deep moans spilling out, and her climax hit like a fierce storm. That rush overwhelmed me, pulling me into a fiery vortex of pleasure. Sophia collapsed onto my shoulder, gasping, and I felt her racing pulse against her heated skin, losing myself for a moment. Hello. I'm about to share a private story about my family. My name is Frank, and I'm 43 years old. I've been married to my wife, Ashley, for 15 years, and we have two elementary school-aged kids. Our family's daily life completely changed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. A few years later, I'm still working from home. Ashley is a stay-at-home mom, but she's also a reliable partner who occasionally helps with my work. While the kids are at school, she takes care of household chores and supports me with my job. In the midst of this routine, Ashley recently got hooked on yoga. Once a week, she started attending a yoga studio at a fancy resort. Every time I see her off, dressed in tight yoga clothes that show off her figure, I feel a tangle of emotions in my heart. On one hand, I'm drawn to her confident demeanor, but on the other, I can't help but feel a little anxious about the attention she might attract. Whenever I catch a glimpse of Ashley's toned and flexible body, my heart races, and I can't help but laugh at myself for trying so hard to hide it. Ashley made new friends at the yoga studio. Brianna, 34, Rachel, 32, Sophia, 37, and Emma, 35. These four women are all passionate about health and self-care, radiating youth and vitality. Their bodies, sculpted by yoga, show off beautiful curves, and the first time I saw them, it nearly took my breath away. After yoga class, their routine is to have lunch together at the resort's cafe, where they seem obsessed with healthy options like organic salads or smoothies. One evening, while we were having dinner, Ashley gave me a sly smile and asked, "Frank, would it be okay if I invited my friends over for a lunch gathering after yoga class?" Her eyes lit up with excitement, and I nodded without much thought. "Sure, that's fine. I work from home, but I figured I could stay holed up in my second-floor study without being disturbed. More than anything, I wanted Ashley to have a good time." "Thanks, Frank. It's going to be great." Ashley beamed, gently squeezing my hand, and her warm touch warmed my heart. That day, while I was reviewing documents in my study, I heard women's laughter coming from downstairs. It seemed Ashley, Brianna, Rachel, Sophia, and Emma had arrived at our house after yoga. "Guess I should say hi," I muttered to myself as I headed downstairs. When I stepped into the living room, I was greeted by the sight of five women lounging comfortably, still in their tight yoga outfits. Their curves were so vividly outlined that it was almost overwhelming, and for a moment, I froze, unsure where to look. Hi," I stammered awkwardly. Ashley smiled and said, "Frank, thanks for coming down. Let me introduce my friends." As she introduced them one by one, I felt overwhelmed by their confident smiles and toned physiques. I quickly mumbled, "Nice to meet you all," and, with my heart pounding, I retreated back to the second floor as if I were fleeing. But that scene kept replaying in my mind. The curves of their flexible bodies, the way their slightly sweat-dampened yoga clothes clung to their skin, it wouldn't stop haunting me. "Focus, Frank," I scolded myself, but the numbers on my documents blurred together. Feeling thirsty, I went downstairs to grab some water. As I opened the fridge in the kitchen, a soft voice called out from the living room. Frank, why don't you join us for lunch? I turned to see Brianna leaning against the sofa, smiling and gesturing toward me. Her eyes had a playful, teasing spark. Oh, I was just getting hungry, I said with a light chuckle, heading to the table. The table was filled with a spread of healthy dishes, colorful salads, a fruit platter, and quinoa bowls. Sitting among the women, the conversation naturally turned to yoga. Yoga really makes your body flexible. It relieves stress and leaves you feeling refreshed, Sophia said passionately, tracing a smooth curve in the air with her hand. Frank, why don't you give it a try? The basic moves are easy to pick up, Rachel said, her eyes sparkling as she looked at me. I let out an awkward laugh and shook my head. Nah, I'm a bit too stiff for that. But Ashley playfully nudged my arm and said, Come on, Frank, just try it. It'll be fun. Her mischievous smile got the better of me. We moved to one side of the living room, and Emma took the lead. Let's start with some easy poses, she said, explaining breathing techniques and guiding me through simple stretches. I struggled with the movements, but they showed off their incredible flexibility, extending their legs gracefully or striking bridge poses. Their yoga clothes, damp with sweat, clung even more tightly to their bodies, highlighting every subtle muscle movement. I was so mesmerized by the sight that I forgot to follow along. Frank, you've got to focus here, Sophia teased, lightly pressing my shoulder, but her touch only made my heart race faster. As the poses got more challenging, I lost my balance and stumbled. That's when Rachel stepped in, saying, Here, do it like this, and gently held my waist to correct my posture. The moment her hands touched me, I shivered at her touch. Relax, Frank, she whispered, her voice tickling my ear. I tried to steady my breathing, but their toned bodies and sweat-glistened skin moving in front of me made my body react instinctively. Embarrassed, I tried to hide it, but Brianna leaned in close and murmured, Frank, you're reacting. Her tone wasn't accusatory. It carried a teasing, almost seductive tremor. In that moment, the air in the living room changed. Their eyes locked onto me, and the yoga session began veering in a different direction. I glanced at Ashley. To my surprise, her eyes weren't filled with anger, but with curiosity and excitement. Ashley, is this? I started to say, but she gave me a soft smile and said, It's okay, Frank. Keep going. Her words opened a door. Rachel gently pulled me closer by my arm, while Emma wrapped her arms around my shoulders from behind. Brianna stood in front of me, stretching slowly as if flaunting her yoga-toned body. Her curves were like a work of art, and I could barely breathe from looking at her. Frank, relax and enjoy this special moment with us, Sophia whispered in my ear, and their hands began exploring my body. At first, their touches were gentle, but they grew bolder. Brianna's hand grazed my chest and slid downward, while Rachel's hand softly brushed my thigh. I was caught in a storm of confusion and pleasure, pinching myself to see if it was real. Eventually, we moved to the plush rug in the living room. Sophia was the first to approach, flashing a provocative smile. She slowly climbed onto my lap, her warm hands wrapping around my neck. Her skin felt scorching, and that heat coursed through me, making my heart pound wildly. With the grace of a dancer, Sophia arched her body, creating a rhythm. Her nails lightly grazed my back, sending electric shivers through me, and her sweat-slicked body seemed to melt in my hands like lava. Frank, her husky whisper seared my ear. I gripped her hips tightly, surrendering to her intense movements. Her body rocked faster, her deep moans spilling out, and her climax hit like a fierce storm. That rush overwhelmed me, pulling me into a fiery vortex of pleasure. Sophia collapsed onto my shoulder, gasping, and I felt her racing pulse against her heated skin, losing myself for a moment. Next, Emma appeared before me. She climbed onto me with the agility of a cat, her eyes sparkling. Frank, now it's my turn to shine, she said, her voice playful but laced with sharp desire. Emma moved like a gentle wave, yet with undeniable intensity. Each time her thighs brushed against my skin, it felt like an electric shock coursing through me, and her hands pressed firmly against my chest, commanding the rhythm. Her sweat-glistened skin felt like hot silk, and her moans grew rougher, slicing through the air. I pulled her waist close, completely immersed in her flow. As Emma reached her peak, her sharp cry shook my core, and in that moment, I surged to the height of pleasure. A surge of release swept through me, and I gasped, buried in her warm heat. Emma caught her breath above me, flashing a sly smile, and I closed my eyes, drunk on her warmth. Then Rachel approached. Her eyes burned with intensity as she whispered, "Frank, now you're mine." Her voice was sweet like honey, but it hid a restrained wildness. Rachel leaned down, her hot breath scorching my ear. Her hands roamed my chest, growing bolder, and my body ignited. She moved with the fluidity of a wave, her toned body picking up speed. Her sweat-drenched skin shimmered like jewels under moonlight, and her deep moans reverberated through the room. I gripped her thighs tightly, lost in her fierce rhythm. As Rachel's body trembled at her climax, her sharp gasps rattled my senses, and I was swept away in a tidal wave of pleasure. She buried her face in my neck, panting, and I was enveloped by her rapid heartbeat and scorching heat, losing track of reality. Finally, Brianna stood before me. "Frank, you ready?" Her voice burned with intensity, her eyes blazing with desire. She climbed onto me, her firm body pressing against me, her skin shifting like warm silk in my hands. Brianna moved like a storm, wild yet elegant. Her sweat dripped down her curves, and I was stunned at the sight. I held her waist firmly with both hands, diving into her accelerating rhythm. Her moans grew fiercer, and as her body quaked at its peak, I could no longer resist. A powerful wave of pleasure rocked my entire body, and I let out a deep groan without realizing it. In that moment, the world vanished, leaving only our searing connection. Brianna caught her breath above me, flashing a victor's smile, and I trembled in the exhilarating release, enveloped by her heat. The air in the living room was thick with their sweat and fragrance, filling the space with heavy heat. Ashley sat by the sofa, watching the entire scene. Her eyes gleamed with excitement, and occasionally she'd offer directions like, "Harder, right there." Her voice was calm, but the tremor in it betrayed her desire. I glanced at her, feeling a pang of guilt in my heart. "Ashley, is this really okay? Am I betraying you?" But her serene smile and encouraging gaze momentarily buried my unease. When it was all over, I collapsed onto the sofa, gasping for air. My body felt exhausted, my heart still racing. This moment, where each woman indulged in the others with their unique allure, had completely shattered my expectations. I'd assumed all women's bodies would feel the same, but that was a misconception. Sophia's fiery heat, Emma's feline agility, Rachel's wild curves, Brianna's stormy intensity. Their shapes, sizes, and skin textures were subtly different. Each one's pleasure was distinct, their reactions stirring my body with their individual rhythms. The interplay of these differences created an overwhelming rush of pleasure that turned my senses upside down. Yet, at the same time, guilt toward Ashley flooded within me. I love her, so how can I do this with other women? Is this really okay? My mind was a storm of confusion, and anxiety tightened my heart. Ashley sat beside me, still smiling, but her calm expression only deepened my unease. The women, meanwhile, chatted casually with satisfied smiles. "This salad dressing is amazing. Can you share the recipe?" Emma asked Ashley, who replied with a playful grin. "It's a secret, but I'll tell you next time." I sat there, stunned by their nonchalance, caught between the intense pleasure of moments ago and my growing anxiety about Ashley, steadying my breathing. With the kids due home soon, the women tidied up and left. At the door, Sophia gave me a playful wink and said, "See you next week, Frank." After the door closed, leaving just me and Ashley, I cautiously asked, "Ashley, was that really okay?" She looked into my eyes with a calm smile. "Yes, Frank. I enjoyed watching it. It's not a problem at all. Her voice was genuine, but I was still uncertain. Really? Is it okay to do this? I pressed. Ashley took my hand and said, "We love each other. This is just our special moment." From then on, they started coming over regularly after yoga class. On the surface, it was a lunch gathering, but while the kids were at school, our house became a private escape. The body gets so heated after a workout, Brianna said with a laugh one day, and we dove back into those passionate moments. This unconventional routine continued for months. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't escape the thrill. Ashley seemed content, and it didn't affect the kids at all. On the outside, we maintained a perfect family life. But at night, when I was alone, doubts nagged at me. Is it okay to keep doing this? What if it all falls apart someday? Yet, when the doorbell rang the next day, all my worries melted away and my heart started racing again. "Frank, take good care of us today," Sophia said with a playful smile, and I was powerless to stop. Our secret time began again. One day, while I was taking a break from work, Ashley texted me, "Today's a special day. Be ready." Her message was short but full of excitement. Special day? What does that mean? I checked the calendar, but it wasn't an anniversary. In the afternoon, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, Ashley and her yoga friends were there, carrying large bags, different from their usual visits. "Hey, Frank," Rachel said with a mischievous grin as she stepped inside. In the living room, they started unpacking yoga equipment from their bags. "We're doing a special session today," Brianna said, her eyes sparkling. Yoga straps, blocks, and some unfamiliar tools were laid out on the table. "What are these for?" I asked, curious. Rachel smiled and replied, "They're for deeper relaxation. We want to give you total relaxation, Frank." Ashley had already changed into her yoga clothes, and the others followed suit. "Frank, you should change into something comfortable too," Ashley said gently, and I went along. The living room transformed into a resort spa-like atmosphere in no time. Mats were spread out, scented candles were lit, and soft music played in the background. "Close your eyes and lie down," Emma's soothing voice instructed. I lay on the floor and shut my eyes. Soon, I heard rustling around me, and someone's hand brushed my shoulder. "Relax and let us take care of everything," Sophia whispered. Multiple hands began massaging my body gently. Their touch wasn't just a massage, it was delicate yet intense, stirring every nerve in my body. As time passed, their hands grew bolder. One hand grazed my chest and slid lower, while another softly stroked my thigh. I fought to catch my breath, but my body was heating up. Suddenly, soft lips touched mine. Startled, I opened my eyes to see Brianna leaning over me, her eyes burning with desire. I felt like I was being pulled into her gaze. Then Rachel's lips brushed my neck, and Emma's hands wrapped around my waist. They surrounded me like petals, and I was overwhelmed, barely able to breathe surrounded by them. Ashley watched from a short distance, her eyes a mix of excitement and curiosity. "This is our special time," Sophia whispered in my ear. "It's about completely freeing your body and mind." That day was truly extraordinary. The 5 women gave their all to me, and I gave in completely to them. Ashley joined in midway, and the 6 of us shared the moment. They took turns moving over me, gently at first, then with fervor. Brianna's hot breath tickled my ear, and Sophia's firm waist writhed in my grip. I let myself be carried by their rhythm, swept up in waves of pleasure. Ashley sat beside me, stroking my chest and whispering, "Frank, feel it deeper." Her voice was soft, but laced with intense desire. I trembled at her touch, electrified by the reality of it all. They took turns embracing me, and I was utterly intoxicated by their warm bodies and soft skin. When it was over, I lay on the sofa, gasping. My body was exhausted, my mind still reeling with the intensity of those sensations. Before the kids came home, the women tidied up and left. "See you next week," Emma said with a playful smile, and I nodded dazedly. That night, after the kids were asleep, I was alone with Ashley. I cautiously asked, "Ashley, why do you allow this?" Wouldn't most people be furious? She paused, thoughtful, then looked into my eyes. Frank, we've been together for 15 years. We needed something to shake up our routine. Watching you react turns me on. This is our little secret. Her voice was confident, and I could feel her honesty. Still, is it okay to keep doing this? I asked hesitantly. Ashley took my hand and laughed. Why stop? It doesn't affect the kids, and it's made our relationship stronger. She was right. Since this began, our nights had become hotter, our conversations more frequent, and it felt like we were newly in love. You're right, but I trailed off, and Ashley kissed me, whispering, Don't overthink it, Frank. Just enjoy it. That night, we lost ourselves in each other in a way we hadn't for years. Her skin was hot and soft, and we carried the afternoon's heat into our embrace. As a new week began, life settled back into routine. I sent the kids to school, worked, and Ashley managed the household. But when Tuesday rolled around, they came back. Frank, you ready? Brianna's playful voice greeted me as I opened the door grinning. And so, our passionate time began again. This double life had been going on for nearly half a year. Then one day, while I was working, I got a call from an unfamiliar number. It was Sophia. Frank, I need to talk to you, she said, her voice urgent. A bad feeling hit me. That afternoon, Sophia came to the house alone. We're all having fun, but she trailed off, looking down. I watched her in silence. I've fallen for you, she confessed, her words cutting through me. I took a deep breath and responded. Sophia, I'm married to Ashley, and we have kids. That kind of relationship isn't possible. She looked at me with sad eyes. I know. That's why I'm struggling. Maybe I should stop coming with the others. She stepped closer and took my hand, and for a moment, I faltered. Her lips met mine, and I returned the kiss without thinking. Her arms wrapped around my waist, pulling me closer. But I quickly came to my senses and gently pushed her away. Sophia, you're incredibly attractive, but this isn't right. I'm sorry. Her eyes glistened with tears as she nodded. Consumed with guilt, I decided to confess everything to Ashley. At dinner, before I could speak, Ashley said, Sophia came by today, didn't she? She seemed to have seen it in my expression. It's okay, Frank. I already sensed her feelings. I figured this might happen someday. Stunned, I looked at her. You're not mad? She smiled and cut me off. I'm not mad. I trust you. Even in this lifestyle, our love for each other hasn't changed. Her insight both shocked and relieved me. What do we do now? I asked. She thought for a moment and said, Just keep going as we are. We all enjoy it. That's the rule. I nodded. The next yoga day, I was uneasy facing Sophia, but she acted as if nothing had happened. Later, Ashley told me they'd talked privately. It's a girl thing, she said with a playful smile. And so, our strange setup continued. There were occasional tensions, but we stuck to the rules as winter approached. On a chilly Tuesday, they gathered at our house. It's cold out, Ashley said, turning up the heater and preparing hot cocoa. How about jacuzzi yoga? Brianna joked, and everyone laughed. Then the doorbell rang unexpectedly. We exchanged glances, as no one was scheduled to visit. Ashley opened the door to a call from the elementary school. Our youngest was sick and needed to be picked up. I'll go, I offered, but Ashley, more familiar with school matters, insisted. Sorry, you guys start without me, she said, leaving the house. Left alone with the four women, a new tension filled the air. Shall we keep going? Rachel said with a smile, and the yoga began. As that moment approached, I hesitated without Ashley. It's fine, Ashley knows, Brianna whispered in my ear. Drawn in by her words, I found myself entangled with them on the sofa. Sophia's hot lips trailed down my neck, and Emma's hands gripped my thighs firmly. But guilt flooded within me. Doing this without Ashley, am I betraying her? Just then, the door opened with a "I'm back." Ashley returned with our child. We hurriedly fixed our clothes. I'm back. Everything okay? Ashley asked, tucking the child into bed upstairs before rejoining us. They've got a slight fever, but they'll be fine after some medicine, she said, smiling at the women. Sorry for interrupting, she added. Emma replied, no worries. Kids come first. That day ended early, and they left. That night, after the kids were asleep, I confessed to Ashley. We kept going while you were gone. She smiled softly. I know. That's why I rushed back. I breathed a sigh of relief. But, she continued, from now on, not when I'm not here. Only when I'm watching. I nodded. That became our new boundary. A year passed. Our relationship with Ashley and the yoga friends kept going, but changes came. Rachel moved away for a job transfer, leaving the group, and Olivia, 33, joined. She was a newcomer at Ashley's yoga studio. Meeting Olivia for the first time, I was on edge. I was used to the existing members, but a new person might disrupt the balance. However, Olivia's bright and cheerful personality quickly fit right in. Frank, relax. They've told me everything, she said with a playful wink, and I realized she was already aware of our secret. Olivia's arrival brought more energy. Laughter increased, and Ashley enjoyed spending time with her. One day, after work, I came home to find Ashley waiting with a serious expression. Frank, I need to talk. The kids were at a friend's house, leaving us alone. Is it okay to keep doing this? Her voice was heavier than usual. My heart raced. Is this over? The kids are growing up, she continued. I'd been thinking the same. Yeah, maybe it's time to wind down. Ashley looked me in the eye. Not stop completely. Let's reduce it to once a month, then maybe just special occasions later. Her suggestion was sensible. Okay, let's do that. I agreed, and she smiled, relieved. Then, her eyes sparkled. Let's make the last regular meeting special. The next yoga day, they arrived all dolled up, and the atmosphere felt like a party. Today's special, Ashley explained. From now on, we'll only do this once a month. The women nodded, having already discussed it with Ashley. The table was set with fine champagne and carefully prepared dishes, and we toasted with laughter. That night, we indulged in each other with more fire than ever. Brianna's soft skin glided under my hands, and Sophia's breaths heated my ear. Ashley watched, smiling, occasionally guiding my hand to her thigh and whispering, Frank, feel this moment. Afterward, life settled back into routine. I spent more time with Ashley, and our weekends with the kids became richer. Ashley grew more confident through this setup, and I came to value family time even more. They still come over monthly, and we quietly look forward to those special days. It may end someday, but for now, we treasure these moments. This is the path Ashley and I have chosen. It may not fit society's standards, but for us, it's a happy choice. There's a circle marked on the calendar today, and my heart is already pounding.